Hello and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam and I'm a real person, and today I want to talk to you about Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance. And a few things up front here, of course, as always, there's a written review you can check out before, after, or instead of this video review. I'm going to link that in the description. Also, this is another installment in the Mario Kart series. I've been doing this whole Mario Kart Week thing, so if you want more of the basics, check out my Super Mario Kart review. For that, it'll probably have most of that basic information, so I don't have to repeat it a bunch of times. And it'll probably do you good to check that out, because this is actually pretty similar in a lot of ways to Super Mario Kart. And if you want to know what I mean, well, let's just jump into it and try to avoid getting hit by that train in the background. I wonder if you can even hear it. You probably can. So, Mario Kart Super Circuit plays pretty similarly to Super Mario Kart. It's got the whole really flat 2D, areas you're driving across for the tracks. And it's got sprite-based characters. Even though this game did come out, I believe this is the third Mario Kart game. It came out after Mario Kart 64. So the sprites are more similar to those from Mario Kart 64. Some of the sound bites, I think, were taken from there. And probably some other games and stuff, too. I'm not sure about all the technical side of all that stuff. But it does sort of feel like a little bit of a middle ground between those two in that sense, where some of the stuff kind of looks and feels a little bit like Mario Kart 64. But the game largely plays like Super Mario Kart. The same kind of driving, and you can turn, you can do the jumping, you can do the drifting, all that stuff. They still got the coins came back. Those are here again. You're collecting those, so your speed goes up a little bit when you're collecting coins. This game consists of 5 cups. Sorry, there are 5 cups with 4 tracks each. What you do is, you do the races, do the laps, all that. You know how races go. You know how the game is played by now. I explained most of that in that other review, but this, I don't know, it doesn't do tons necessarily super differently. There's a bit of a different selection of the items. The items are things like, let's see, there is the banana peel is here. There is the red shell, red Koopa shell, which seeks people. The green Koopa shell, which just shoots from where you shot it. Then there's the sets. You can have the set of 3 rotating ones. Of both, there's one of the red ones, one of the green ones. There are blue shells are in here where they'll seek the person in first place. There's a lightning bolt, which makes everyone shrinks everyone a little bit, so they'll be a little bit slower, and you can run them over if you're big temporarily. Then there's a star, temporary invincibility, and a slight speed boost. Then there's the mushroom, which gives you a speed boost, and the ghost power-up that can steal someone else's power-up. I think that's all of them, unless I'm forgetting something off the top of my head here. But those are all the power-ups, in case you were wondering, and I guess that is kind of important because it's part of the game. I guess, you're going through these races, you're trying to get in first place. Depending on what place you get in each race, you get points, which will then affect your standings in the set of each of the 4 races. For basically your standings in the overall cup, I suppose. So you don't necessarily have to get first the entire time, but you do have to end up with the most points if you want to win. There are also rankings you can get, which I don't fully understand, but they are ranked, I believe, anywhere from E to either it's 1 star or it might even go up to 3 stars. I'm actually unclear, as I don't know if I've ever gotten above a 1 star ranking. But I believe it's based on a variety of things like, your time, how many coins you have, and the place you get. I think it's dependent on multiple factors, but again, it's something I wasn't super sure on. There's nothing that really spelled it out for me in the game, so sorry about that. On top of that, there's also some unlockable content that you can get. You can actually unlock all of the Super Mario Kart tracks, though they are split up a little differently than they are in Super Mario Kart, and they're split up into the 5 cups of 4 tracks each, so you could get a total of 40 tracks in this game. To unlock those, what you gotta do is you gotta get like a gold and Well, I'll get into that later. I'll save that detail for you a little bit later. But you can unlock those after playing through the main ones that are already new to this game. There's also the ability to do multiplayer, but you need the cable for it and someone else to play with. I didn't have that, so I couldn't really talk about that. You need to have... there's Ghost Exchange. You can exchange ghost data of like your best times. So there's a time trial mode to try and get better times and practice the tracks. Maybe try to find shortcuts, good ways to do it. Each of the different characters has some different skills. They have like ability. They have different stats. Basically, there's a speed stat and a weight stat. So they kind of just talk about how fast you are and how hard you are to knock around, I suppose. They don't tell you a whole lot else for stats other than those two. That's really all you can glean from the information screen, and there are, I believe, 8 characters to start with I think one unlockable character that I didn't unlock the character because it was hard to do and I suck. But there is, I think, you can unlock one other character, at least. As well as doing really well, you can unlock some different title screens to show that you have done these little, you have done things in the game. And then there's also a quick run mode, which you can just pick any level you want, and just do a quick race on that, and you can select if you want to do 3 laps or 5 laps. All of the races in the normal cups, by the way, in this game's new tracks, they're all 3-lap races, and all the ones for the Super Mario Kart tracks are 5-lap races. So just by default when you're doing them in like the Grand Prix, I guess. So I think that's pretty much all the information that I can give you as far as just straight up information. So what I like about this game, well, I like that it did a lot of the stuff that Super Mario Kart did better. I think visually it's represented better in that there's not the weird stretching, skewing thing that bothered me in Super Mario Kart. It's a lot easier to determine the depth of, like how far is a character from me? Am I going to hit an item? Am I going to run into this or that? That was greatly improved here. And I really like that. The detail on the sprites is actually pretty nice too, I suppose. It's just a different feel. It's actually got some really cool backgrounds, though. I think those are maybe some of my favorite parts of it, or just seeing the really cool, like detailed, like background pieces, skybox thing going on. Those are pretty neat. And it controls pretty well too. It handles fairly well. Where I feel like I had a better grab. I didn't feel like I was just sliding all over the damn place. Like in Super Mario Kart. So, generally, I guess, what I'm saying on that front is that I feel like it's handled better than that. It's just, it's like Super Mario Kart, but they tweaked it so it's just easier to control. It doesn't necessarily mean it's easier to win. I guess, like, I don't know if the game's necessarily easier. It's easier by the virtue of that you can control it, rather than it's easier because they dumbed it down. Like, I don't think that was the case. I think they fixed the problems, and it still has its own challenges to overcome. And it can be pretty fun. And it's the first Mario Kart to be on a handheld, which is actually pretty impressive. And it's kind of nuts that this thing happened. So, kudos on that. I like some of the voice samples too. Those are kind of fun to just have in there. There's some good stuff to be had here for sure, and the number of tracks is awesome. That's absolutely nuts that they could get all of those tracks from the previous, or from Super Mario Kart. It's weird. That's a lot of tracks to have on one game, I'm pretty impressed by a lot of these things in it. It impressed me a little more than I thought it was going to at the outset, so that's cool. But problems with it, man, I have some gripes. What's kind of weird, and a very minor one, is that, like, with all those tracks that you get, for some reason they took out a lot of the hazards in the Super Mario Kart tracks. I don't know why. Maybe it's because you go so quickly through them, because maybe you go faster in this one. I'm not even entirely sure how that plays out, side by side or anything, but, like, I just find it weird, like, some of these hazards were similar to hazards they already had in the tracks in Super Circuit. So why couldn't they also just put them into these? If it was like a space issue or something, I don't know. So that's kind of a thing. Obviously, there's barriers to entry for multiplayer, so it kind of sucks. But it was kind of a victim of its times. it's an unfortunate truth that is just about this game, I suppose. And it's not really a great multiplayer game because of that. Visually, while I do like some of the visual changes, some of them aren't that great. Like, it's kind of hard to see, and maybe it'll look better if you had like a backlit SP rather than my, frontlit one. Or if you had it, like, played it on a different, backlit system. Like, or a TV or some shit, right? Like, it would probably look fine. It was hard for me to see some stuff, and I'm assuming it'd only be worse playing it on an actual normal Game Boy Advance. It'd probably be pretty rough to see stuff. And even though there's more details into it, because they're trying to be more detailed, it's harder to tell what things are sometimes. Like, there's more like details put in there, but it's on a smaller screen, so those details are more scrunched, and it's harder to tell what they are, I suppose. It's sort of another little issue I had when playing it. So, yeah, whatever. Maybe my eyes just kind of suck. That's possible that it was just me. But some stages, it was hard to see the coins and stuff, and I don't know. Again, like the ranking system, like I said, there's a ranking system. I don't really know how that works. I don't understand what exactly it's based on. I don't know if it really tells you that much. So, like, I've played matches where I get a gold, trophy at the end. I've done that, and it's like, you got a rank D. It's like, oh, what did I do wrong? And I think it's based on time and maybe performance, maybe, and the amount of coins you have. I don't know. It doesn't really explain it anywhere. Another thing about not explaining shit, for those unlockable tracks that they have on there, all those, like, those Super Mario Kart tracks, to unlock those is kind of a ridiculous feat. It's a cool thing to have for, like, unlocking them, because it gives you an incentive to do it, I suppose. It gives you some kind of reward for playing the game. But the thing is, to get them, you have to beat all the cups and get gold on all of those cups in every engine class, which are 50cc, 100cc, and 150cc. You have to beat all the cups and get a gold in each one of those. Then you have to go back to each cup and play through it again and get 100 coins in that cup. And then you'll unlock the retro or the Super Mario Kart version of each cup. So you have to do that for all of those. That's a lot, just by the sheer math of it. There's 5 cups, that's 4 races per cup, 20 races. Then for each engine class, that's 60 races. And then, because there are 3 engine classes, and then factor in you have to play each one at least twice. That's 120 races just to get all of these tracks unlocked on every difficulty like that. And what's kind of annoying about it, I guess, is besides the fact that the game doesn't tell you that's annoying how to do this. It's annoying that you can't just go through a cup and then like get a gold medal and get 100 coins and then unlock it by doing that. You have to do it 2 runs minimum to do it. That's annoying. The game doesn't tell you that. And also, like, once you go through and try to get all those coins, like, doing that is harder than racing on any of the Super Mario Kart tracks. So you're not unlocking something that's even more difficult. It's more of just a reward for doing the difficult thing, which is cool in its own way, but also kind of frustrating that it's not really worth it. It's not going to be a jump up in skill. It's just going to be a new thing to do. And, like, it's a lot harder than you think, because there are 55 coins in each track, apparently. 55 coins. That means you get more than twice the amount of coins you need total to do it. And you're like, oh, that sounds easy. But then you gotta realize that, like, other racers don't seem to pick those up either. It doesn't sound too bad, but then you realize every time you bump into a racer, every time you get hit by an item, every time you or spin out, or hit a stage hazard, or fall off the stage, anytime that happens, you lose coins, and every time you lose coins, it's not like they just scatter around and you can pick them up again. No, those coins are just gone. So if you go under a certain amount, you're not going to have enough coins to do it. So you have to be careful, and like it's a lot harder than it sounds, honestly. You have to get really good to do that, to the point where it's pretty rough. And also the mechanics are kind of sloppy in a way still, where it's like, maybe it's just me, but I could not find a way to reliably master doing certain turns and maneuvers and stuff, and I felt like it was really tough to do it. Though I did like kind of some of like the the different ways that, like, maybe you gotta do, like, brake around these turns, or just let go of the accelerator on some of these turns, or maybe you just gotta, like, try to do the drifting on some turns, and you kind of have to pick what you want to do and when, and depending on your character and the stage and everything. That was kind of neat, but it's so hard and it's so finicky that it's almost not fun. Sometimes it isn't fun sometimes. So that was a nitpicky thing for me. I guess that bothered me too. And they didn't add a whole lot to the bonus things, the bonus tracks from Super Mario Kart. I guess you could just get Super Mario Kart to play those if you wanted to, but having them on the go would be cool. It's just like there's so much work to just get them. It's so hard to just get them to play them that it's a little ridiculous. Not necessarily worth doing, and I feel like it does sort of pull off the, hey, these tracks are back here thing. It's cool to play them again. Yet they're still kind of different because it's in this different game with the different visuals and all this other stuff, right? Like slightly different mechanics and all that. It sort of pulls like the Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal thing, where it's like, go back to the Kanto region, and you're like, it's pretty similar, and it brings back nostalgia, but it's clearly not really the same. That's something that's cool about it, and if you really love Super Mario Kart, you'll probably enjoy that. But because I don't have, nostalgia for Super Mario Kart, it didn't do that for me. And I don't know, if you don't have nostalgia for it, it's not going to do that for you. So that's a hit or miss thing, I suppose. And generally speaking, yeah, like, most of my gripes, I guess, are probably nitpicky or because I'm bad at the game. But some of them, I think, are some legitimate complaints. And they might affect you as well. So I figured I'd bring them up. Also, some of another less nitpicky one is that some of the voices are different here, and it's weird. Like, Luigi's voice is really strange in this one, because it was not Charles Martinet. Don't know why, but it's not. So some of it's just, some of it's a little off in parts, a little bit. Mario Kart Super Circuit. I'm still here. For the recommendations on this, I mean, like, look, I am going to say, I probably make it sound like it's way worse than it is, because I had a lot of gripes with it, because I don't really like it that much. It's not like it's a bad game. It's okay. It's just, it's not necessarily the best Mario Kart out there. For handheld Mario Karts even, you got Mario Kart DS, you got Mario Kart 7, you got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with your Switch now. And with other virtual console stuff coming for that, there'll probably be more on there. Even if you have a new 3DS, you can play Super Mario Kart on the go also. So this is kind of a hard one to recommend in general. And for general public thinking maybe this would be fun, $10 or less is what I'm going to say. If you're looking to get this, $10 or less sounds good. I think I paid like 15 or something, but like $10 or less, I think, is a pretty good point. And it's on the Wii U eShop for around that much, so you could get it there for that, and that'd be reasonable, I think. If you're a big fan of Super Mario Kart, or if you're a big fan of Mario Kart in general, or if you're just really interested in seeing, the evolution of Mario Kart and being like, well, I'd like to see the first handheld one and see how it kind of evolved from there, and how this was an interesting thing to come after Mario Kart 64, but it still seemed like kind of like a weird like mix between that and Super Mario Kart in that aspect, which is interesting. If you're really interested in it for any of those reasons, maybe worth $15 to $20, but even then, like, I don't think you'll be coming back and playing this one as much as the other Mario Karts. I think you'll either go back to Super Mario Kart instead of this, or you'll be going to other ones that play other Mario Karts just seem to play a bit more differently than this one does. You probably want to go, like, even for nostalgia purposes, you'd probably go to Mario Kart 64 before this one, also, quite possibly, I don't know. So, it's just hard to recommend, not terrible, but it's not great. I don't know, what did you guys think of it? I would love to see if there's people who are fans out there who tell me why you loved it so much. I would love to hear it. And if you like Super Mario Kart, did you also like this one? Is that a good recommendation? I would like to know if that's decent. And, hey, look forward to more stuff in Mario Kart Week, because I'm assuming this isn't going to be at the end of it. I don't know. Check out all the Mario Kart videos I've done. I'm sure they're all fantastic. Just going to hold that there a little bit. A few seconds. Alright.